So what is the podcast about, Jamie?
I would like to showcase the oppressive nature of the carceral state, also known as mass incarceration and the prison industrial complex in the United States, and specifically Michigan. We have a system that has grown to more people incarcerated than any country in the world for longer periods of time. And we need to expose that and educate those in society so they know that the system that we currently have does not work. It is broken and it needs to be fixed. Keeping people incarcerated for decades doesn't lower crime rates. It's a proven fact now. There's too much research on it. Experts across the country and the world is stating this out loud. But the politicians are not listening to the experts. I also want to...
I was going to say, we're going to cover that, and then I was going to move you on to the next point, which you were about to get to anyway. Yeah. I'll interrupt him a lot. Go, Jamie.
I also want to use my education in criminology to also educate those listeners on why we, because I'm incarcerated, commit crime and why we committed crime as teenagers, and cover the new science that comes out. For example, the adolescent brain development science that is now recognized by the field of psychology as, it's dominant now. It's not, there's very few that oppose it.
Well, I think too, I always say this, but this can't be misunderstood. Anyone with teenagers or who knows teenagers knows that their brains develop rather strangely anyway. So I don't understand why we even have to prove that that's a thing. The other thing, to move along, because I'm going to edit this out if it's bad, but to move along, you're going to also, why should people tune in each week? Like, we're not going to go over the same thing over and over again.
No. We're going to talk about things that occur in prison that people do not know about. And people can learn what goes on in prison, because most states, the prison system does not allow the news media inside the prisons. There's a reason for that, because they do not want the public to know exactly what's going on. Because if the public knows what's going on, it's just like the defund the police movement or Black Lives Matter movement. They exposed police brutality towards minorities. And we can actually expose the oppressive nature of the prison system.
Which might give people a different view of the idea of people in prison. Give it a different view.
We don't want people to believe that, keeping people in prison after they're actually rehabilitated, after they have changed. Because any one day after that is torture. It is psychological torture. And those individuals, whether they are sentenced to life or not, and they should be looked at as potential release. And another reason people should tune in and listen weekly is because we're going to be discussing everyday topics that you see on the news. It could be a political decision by the U.S. Congress or the House or the Senate or Michigan. What Michigan is doing, the second life sentencing that is coming up, the good time disciplinary credits that they're attempting to pass in Michigan. We're going to be discussing a variety of topics.
Well, good. I'm looking forward to it.
and hopefully we can get a following. And one thing I would like to do, just like I do with the newsletter that I'm an editor for, the Michigan Lifers Report, I would like to highlight other individuals that are lifers or long indeterminate sentence prisoners that have spent decades in prison that deserve a second chance, that deserve to be released and return to society to be with their families.
Yeah. And I would like to complain about all those people that have done their time but cannot leave prison because they haven't completed a program yet, which is completely beyond their control.
Yes, that's a common factor right now with the Michigan Department of Corrections using COVID as a reason to keep us locked down still. 3 years of no program. Society should be outraged because the budget has only increased. So they're getting money to run programs, but the programs are not being ran, and prisoners are being denied parole until they finish a program that is not being offered.
Yeah.
So every prisoner that is kept in prison for 1 month is costing the taxpayers $3,000.
And
that's an average of $36,000 a year for a prisoner.
And you're going to talk about that side of things. I'm just going to talk about how disgusting it is that someone's done their time and they cannot leave prison because there isn't a program being run, when there is no excuse for it not to be run. I think everyone should be more disgusted about that than how much it costs to house those. They've been sentenced to a time. Their time is up. They can't leave because what's an example of a program that they would have to do, like Alcoholics Anonymous or something?
Yeah, well, it'd be like the Violence Prevention Program, VPP.
How intricate and detailed is that?
It's not very. I mean, there's mild. I think there's 3 levels of it, or 2 levels of it, but one is an extremely high level of it. But even a smaller program than that, domestic violence, is another program that they're denied parole for.
That sort of thing is what gets up my nose. So that's the sort of thing that we'll talk about. And I will interrupt Jamie often, saying things that make no sense because that's how I roll. Jamie will be really nice and polite and pretend that he doesn't notice or get frustrated with me because that's how he rolls.
But we do want to keep it as as friendly as possible, so our listeners can start to visualize actually what it goes on in prison and the system itself, how it works. Yeah. And we can even go through, if a family member gets in trouble, the steps that they go through the criminal justice system. We can go from the preliminary exam to the trial to sentencing to possible prison or probation. We can cover all those issues to help.
Jamie says we, but what he really means is he, because I don't know.
But we can have those discussions so it can actually help.
Yes.
Those mothers or fathers or siblings of someone that they love that is unfortunate enough to enter the prison system can actually navigate it a little bit better.
Yeah. Oh, well, good. What I'd like to draw attention to the fact is that I haven't done extensive research because I'm just fly by the seat of my pants when it comes to this at the moment, but I don't think there's another podcast where somebody from inside prison is actually a host, because I consider myself the co-host. Because he needs me to answer the phone and turn the video on. But, other than that, I'm not really required. So I think that's something that people should talk about too.
Yes. Yes. It's, there's many, and we can actually, like we discussed before, we can actually do book reviews, do readings, and suggestions on what books people can read, because although you're separated from a loved one, you both can share phone calls, or in Michigan, it's JPay messaging, which is an email system, and you can actually, share a book, read a book in a week.
Do things together.
Have a discussion. Yep, and do it together
in a weird way. Oh, well, good.
Because that is one of the topics that we'll be discussing is the family structure and how the carceral state in Michigan is set up to destroy that structure, that family structure. It is designed to limit visits. It's designed to limit phone calls. It's designed for you to leave your loved ones left alone in prison.
Oh, well, so this podcast, we've got big plans for it, and we'll see how it goes as we go. Is that what's happening? Because that's what it sounds like to me.
Yes. Yep.
All right. So I don't know if you subscribe to podcasts. I'll figure that out later. But that's all I have to say. Jamie, any last words?
No, just tune in for the next recording.
Sounds like a plan. Bye.